The directors of ceremony, the chairman of the Botswana Stock Exchange Main Committee, Lieutenant General Tebogo Masisi, ambassadors and heads of missions here present, the mayor of the city of Gaborone, Al-Shahad Kagiso Tutwe, permanent secretaries here present, the district commissioner, Grace Tsiro, the chairperson of Milken Institute in the USA, Ms. Stacey Warden, the CEO of Stock Exchange Botswana, Mr. Tseole, and other stock exchanges CEOs present today, captains of industry, Ms. Botswana hailing from the constituency capital of Moshopa, Ms. Tata Kinosi, distinguished delegates, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. Yes, I do have a few hours to go before my imminent demotion. It's an honor and a privilege to, for the second year running, be invited to the Botswana Stock Exchange Listings and Investment Conference, a conference whose occurrence and current theme I cherish deeply now and going into the future. The participation by different members of the capital market value chain reflects the key principle that underpins this conference, which is the need to continuously develop our domestic capital market. The capital market is undeniably a key enabler towards the growth of our national economy and therefore requires participation from all stakeholders. However, of all the stakeholders present here today, we are especially pleased to have among us the small, medium, and micro enterprise owners who are key to developing our capital markets through raising funds needed for the success of their businesses and our economy as a whole. I shan't mention who, but I did ask the CEO as we sat why a particular company had not yet listed. And he pointed out to a consummate gentleman who not many years ago won a bursary to study law. And by some strange stroke of luck or ill luck, found himself behind a microphone under a tree, wanting to be popular. He has since retired and is seated to my immediate right in the front row. You're welcome. The SMMEs are part of the target sector for economic stimulus program that His Excellency the President has tasked me with leading. To date, over 300 citizen companies have been awarded tenders for the ESP projects, with a total of 18,789 people directly employed as at the end of January 2017. The expectation is more would be employed in this coming financial year. Director of Ceremonies, the theme of this conference, the Botswana Stock Exchange, as a gateway of raising capital, and the subsequent discussions to follow, are meant to enlighten and demonstrate to business owners that lack of capital from traditional sources can no longer be a limiting factor in the journey towards entrepreneurial success. In the past 2 decades, we've seen a global trend of enormous wealth creation by young entrepreneurs from all over the world. They have managed to build phenomenal businesses with a global reach, creating employment and significantly improving the standards of living as well as those of their communities. All this is made possible by the business owners making the decision to raise capital through the capital markets in their respective nation states. So I call upon all the innovators to not only tap on the Innovation Hub for its offerings, but to strategically and synergistically link with the Botswana Stock Exchange for offtake. This conference comes at a time when we are facing economic challenges as a nation due to the weak recovery of the global economy, which in turn has caused pressure on some of our strategic business sectors. We have witnessed the closure of some mining businesses due to depressed global commodity prices, the most significant of which has been the liquidation of Mokgweetsi Concession Limited, otherwise known as BCL, and Tati nickel mines. This has adversely affected our national economy, communities near those mines, and those are now left without employment. There is, however, hope, and real hope, I might add, as prospective investors have shown very keen interest in the BCL mine. 3 mines are due or scheduled to start operations during 2017, and we have witnessed an upsurge in diamond sales during the last 2 quarters. I am reliably informed that the main aim of this conference is to encourage as many SMMEs as possible to list on our very own stock exchange. By so doing, such companies will be better placed to raise capital to pursue investment opportunities domestically, regionally, and internationally. This will contribute, no doubt, to economic growth, to the creation of employment, and to the improvement of the overall quality of life of even the average citizen. Ladies and gentlemen, we must be cognizant of the fact that the initiatives made to improve the SMMEs and our capital markets do not only benefit business owners, but the average Joe in the street. They too invest in listed securities and improve their personal wealth. By increasing the number of listings, the liquidity of our markets will be enhanced, thus attracting more participants to our capital markets. This will ultimately assist the Botswana Stock Exchange to becoming a world-class securities exchange, which will in turn attract invariably foreign direct investment without prejudice to the other essentials to enable, which will be attended to successfully. Director of Ceremonies, it is important that the private sector understand the emerging economic challenges to traditional industries and pursue other avenues for their own growth. This is particularly vital for an economy like ours, where the private sector is highly dependent on government spending, which is unsustainable and not always reliable. The focus should be on strategic alliances with government to create innovative and technologically advanced and driven enterprises with focus on sustainable value creation. In this regard, I implore the private sector to harness the benefits of renewable resources, invest in research and development, innovate, and nurture entrepreneurship, as opposed to, sadly, tenderpreneurship. This will go a long way in saving costs to businesses, but also contribute to the long-term welfare of our nation. With today's conference, The SMMEs are afforded an opportunity to learn that possibilities are not defined by geographic boundaries. You will hear from the chief executives of companies that have aggressively sought growth opportunities in sub-Saharan Africa, as well as from experts who have extensive knowledge of the African markets and the emergent trends and business opportunities arising thereof. Please pay close attention. Ladies and gentlemen, investors throughout the world are always looking for opportunities where the next big idea has the potential to change the business landscape. With an estimated middle-class population of around 1.1 billion people by 2060, Africa's projected population brings with it anticipated positive shifts in demand and consumption patterns. African markets are also becoming more accessible due to improving governance, political stability, economic growth, and continued investment in economic infrastructure. Botswana in particular is working on her potential to becoming the next African powerhouse. The middle-class population of any nation, particularly in a consumption economy like ours, is the most important driver of economic activity. I might add as an anecdote that as I chair the Rural Development Council, you'll be intrigued to know that we are actively considering and are near concluding our proposals for deliberately targeting the growth of the middle class throughout the country. It is imperative that the domestic private sector seizes this opportunity to create capacity and contribute towards the achievement of our economic goals. Our SMMEs should harness the abundant opportunities presented by domestic and global economies. Our private sector, especially the SMMEs, should position themselves by listing on the Botswana Stock Exchange in order to service the increasingly sophisticated needs of the growing middle class in Botswana and further afield. Director of Ceremonies, over the years, the government of the Republic of Botswana has demonstrated its commitment to the development of the capital market. This has been achieved by maintaining a stable macroeconomic environment whose main elements include sustainable fiscal balances, low inflation, and a competitive exchange rate system. Furthermore, in support of the development of the capital market, the government commenced a bond issuance program in the year of our Lord 2003, whose objective was to establish a risk-free yield curve that would facilitate wider bond issuance by both parastatal organizations and the private sector. The issuance of bonds with their attendant costs at the time when the country was running budget surpluses demonstrated that the government's commitment to the development of the capital markets as a potential source of capital for businesses was indeed serious and focused. Going forward, the government will continue to support the stock exchange. Where necessary, funding for critical projects will be provided and the regulatory environment will be reviewed as and when necessary, timelessly and appropriately. This is done to encourage the participation of more businesses in the exchange. We are committed to working together with all of you to stimulate and catalyze new initiatives and avenues for business growth in Botswana and beyond our borders. So, Mr. CEO, having listened to that, you might want to adjust a few of your targets upwards. Ladies and gentlemen, Botswana as a country is renowned for her consultative creed. However, we will not allow going forward this to hold us back and slow us down. A number of our fora exist in the country where businesses are afforded an opportunity to contribute to major economic policy documents, which include the development of medium-term plans, the National Development Plan 11, and the preparation of the annual budgets. Such an inclusive approach ensures that the input of key stakeholders and businesses is taken into account in the formulation of policies and strategies necessary for improving the ease of doing business. Consequently, Botswana is now ranked 71st out of 140 countries according to the Global Competitiveness Report of 2015-2016 generated by the World Economic Forum. Our macroeconomic environment is ranked 9th globally and remains our competitive strength. The challenge is obvious and apparent, and all those low-hanging fruits going forward will be attended to with the anxiety and speed they deserve. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to applaud the visionary leadership of the Botswana Stock Exchange in pursuit of its vision of becoming a world-class securities exchange delivering innovative products and services. It has adopted international best practice and has affirmed its membership to the global investment community. Already, significant benefits have started to accrue to the exchange. These have come in the form of increased knowledge to drive innovation, potential strategic partnerships, and exposure to the world as an attractive investment destination. And quite obviously and apparently, your very presence here today is testimony to that. I encourage you to persist in your journey with the knowledge that you have government's undivided, unflinching support. Director of Ceremonies, in conclusion, I'd like to urge you to participate dynamically in the dialogue that you will engage in today. I look to the business community gathered here to partake in the conference by learning and financing their dreams through the Botswana Stock Exchange. As government, we would like to assure you that we will continue to work towards the creation of a political and economic environment that is conducive to investment and fosters business growth and economic development. We look forward to working with all stakeholders involved. With these few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I declare the 2017 Botswana Stock Exchange Listings and Investment Conference officially opened, and I thank you for your attention. Pula.